if you think about it, people do this often, right? You know of somebody who does something that's complementary to you. Why wouldn't you support the person who's in your world? And what that'll do, more than likely, is that person that you just referred to somebody else, you now become that primary person for them to say, hey, I actually have a friend of mine who need this. So now you're getting this ripple effect. And this is what I talk about. A one conversation, one introduction creates a ripple effect out there into the world to say, wow, well, I don't know, but Leslie knows a lot of people. Why don't you go talk to Leslie? She's going to know. And then that person that comes in, you resonate with them a little bit. Maybe they become a client, maybe they become a referral, maybe they become something. But without having the conversation and the ability to just be open-minded about how businesses can collaborate, not close by like there's so much out there, right? Like there's so many people, there's so many businesses out there that need support. If we just look at it as being collaborative, then we're going to find more and more people that are coming to our doorstep saying, I need you, I need your work.
Hi, I'm Leslie Silverman, and I thrive on deep, honest conversations with entrepreneurs about how we show up as the truest version of ourselves, both personally and professionally. Because when we let our light shine, we give others permission to do the same. This is a category of one. Marie Mack is the co-founder and chief business development officer of Powerful Online Partnerships, where she helps entrepreneurs transform meaningful relationships into strategic collaborations. With a natural talent for connecting the right people and ideas, Marie brings essential structure and discernment to the partnership process. At POP, Marie leads business development and partnership strategy, moving coaches and consultants beyond scattered outreach toward intentional, aligned growth. She works closely with members to identify opportunities, facilitate introductions, and build the systems necessary for turning conversations into real world results. Let's talk to Marie. Hey, everybody. Today I have my friend Marie Mack on a category of one. How are you?
Hello, my friend. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you. You and I we met through a networking group online that I believe you maybe only came to that one time and never again. So the universe was bringing us together.
Yes. You know, when you go to those events, you're like, I'm not really sure why I'm here. And then you meet the one person, you're my one person.
Makes me so happy. Well, we had a fast friendship. We quickly respected each other in business and had so many things to talk about personally and professionally. And our conversations always flow so just open and true. And so that's why I wanted to have you on. So, first of all, something that I haven't even asked you about is you recently moved to Idaho?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It was a semi-random move. We were just talking about this, like the universe sort of puts you in different places and you make a decision when those things come up. And our wonderful landlords it's a church across the street. And they were like, hey, you guys have been wonderful. We're not renewing your lease. And I was just like, I'm sorry, wait, what? They're like, we have a new preacher coming in, so you got to move out. And that was in North Carolina. We looked at everything. My family and I were like, what's the opportunity here? And we put a whole bunch of different cities on a list. We decided as a family we're going to move, and we moved to Boise 2 months later. So it was a fun move. It's still new. I like look outside being like, oh yeah, this is where I live now. But yeah, when you shake things up a little bit, it's wonderful, right? Like you just not only can you clean out your house, literally clean things out, but then it like puts you in a new perspective. And when that happens, new things come up. I was just talking to somebody about this morning, and it's like when you decide that you're cleaning out all the gunk, it allows you to bring the good things forward. And I think that's what we did when we moved. Not only physically moved, but then like energetics. Does that make sense? Like it was like an energetic move.
Yes, yes, yes. That makes so much sense because I consume a ton of spiritual content, but literally when you are trying to make space proverbially for something in your life, going through your physical possessions and purging things that you don't need in the physical realm can impact your openness to receive in the spiritual realm because it's
Yes.
all connected. So I have my house on the market and I'm just moving to a different location. It's still in the Denver area, but I'm going through that really slow, intentional going through belongings and recognizing that I can let go of a lot of physical stuff that can actually have heaviness to it.
Mhm. Absolutely. It was interesting because we're a family of 4, and my kids are teenagers now, so when you live in a space for a while, you sort of collect some of that old stuff. You're like, "Oh, nostalgia, we don't wanna get rid of it. When will they need it?" But we allowed them to make decisions on the things that were going and not going, and then because we were moving such a long distance, like, across the country, it was like, literally, we don't have space. So whatever really, really resonates with you, we will make space for. If it doesn't, then it needs to go. We had a carport full of things that we were like, we're not really super connected to this. And my husband put an ad on, like just on Facebook and was like, we have free stuff. And he vetted people before we like gave them our address because that's weird. But at the end of the day, like people came up and they were so excited to get the things that we were like, we're kind of okay about it. But it like created a new excitement. Like that energy goes out. Like if we want to get kind of woo about it, like that energy that no longer served us could go into somebody else's home and just bring them joy. Like, why wouldn't we do that? Like, why are we holding on old things? Because it really is for somebody else, you know? And if you don't like shake up your world a little bit, you sort of get stagnant in what was comfortable. And we kind of need to live in the uncomfortable for a little bit to find the newness of it all.
My gosh, I love that so much. And being somewhere like Idaho, you can tap into the beauty of nature. I don't know Idaho, Boise per se, but I live in Colorado. So I know there's a lot of similarities to the climate and the access to nature and outdoors. And that is such a huge part of fueling my soul is getting out in nature. And so I hope you're finding all of those magical spots and tapping into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Boise River runs right through the middle of Boise, and there is a green belt that's here. And I have never been to a place where you can, like, I've been training for a half marathon. And so I'm like on this green belt for forever. It seems like. So, like on Sunday, I ran 11 miles and I was just still on the same thing forever. And in North Carolina, there's so many hills and stuff. And I was like, man, I cannot make this happen. But here, it's flat enough to where you can be in the nature, you can be next to the river, and it's absolutely gorgeous within the city. And yeah, it's just like it's rejuvenating for it to be right down the street, to be right here. And although we live in like a little suburb space, we can connect with the mountains within like minutes. Like we're out hiking and we're doing all kinds of stuff. And Denver's the same way. Like it's such a gorgeous space to do that.
It is. It is. Well, I that was a fun little tangent, but I want to bring us back. One of the things that has allowed you to have that flexibility to pick a place on a map and say what aligns for our family and what geographic area do we want to explore is because you have a ecosystem of business and businesses that are all remote. So let's lean into talking about your wonderful businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my businesses when my kids were little. I was super, super lucky to be able to stay home for the first couple years of their life. My husband is in the military. So I took like 4 years. We had both of our kids pretty close together. And after my daughter turned 2, I was kind of like, okay, there's got to be something else, right? Like, I just can't be changing diapers and cleaning bathrooms all the time. And so in that space, I was like, I need to find something else to do. And I started to blog online. And that was back in 2014. And so blogging was just a way for me to share some of the things that were happening in my family. And as I did that, I found that I'm not a content writer. I don't come up with anything original. I'm super boring and I don't love writing.
Well,
And
you
I
are
was
not
just,
boring. Let's just take that out of it. You are not boring. And just because you're not driven to be a content writer, you are far from boring, my friend.
oh, thank you,
Okay,
my
but
friend.
back to what you were saying.
Appreciate it. Yes. So anyway, I was working with all these other bloggers and I was like, man, they don't have a process, a system, a checklist, nothing. Everybody was just recreating every single time they were putting content out there. And I started working with them a little bit more. And I found this space in business strategy that I really loved. And I started to connect with people, started to create some boundaries around how they were doing things, which allowed them to do more. Because when we create checklists and we create systems, we create a process that makes us not have to remember as much. And I did that for many, many years. And then I found partnerships. Partnerships is just how businesses work together. And the more I was working inside of that, that was in summits and giveaways. I don't know, anybody in the online world kind of remembers where we were collaborating a lot as online people, 2018, 2019 kind of time frame. And I found that I'm really good at herding the cats that are all the collaborators in a summit, right? People have to they give freebies away. They have interviews that are happening. And when you do a summit, it might be 20 of them at a time. And I love that. I love being in the back end, putting all the pieces together, making the host look really, really great. And that became my end to partnerships, which I have found such a joy for how businesses work together, how friendships can happen, how the right people and the right audience can get connected with somebody else because of a referral. Like all of this is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And as I was working through partnerships, somewhere in 2023, I was like, the operations side of things is something I am obsessed about. I have been for a really long time. I think I was actually born to be in operations. I'm the oldest of four. And so I'm just like putting everybody in their place and like making sure things are happening.
It's
Um,
literally in your DNA.
it is who I was born to be. Yes. So I found this happening when I was doing the summit. I found that I really loved it, like just as a person. And so now I have two main businesses. One is all around partnerships. My business partner and I collaborate with other people. We help them connect. We help them create long term strategic partnerships to increase visibility in their business. And then my other is inside of a consulting firm where I do help people with operations, and it's the people side of operations. So more like a chief of staff than like a COO. But those systems and processes are created to help people do better in their work. And if we do it the right way and we get the feedback from the people, everybody's happy, especially our owners. So those are my two main businesses now. I'm absolutely obsessed with both of them. And they just dovetail really well. Like one is a part of the other, is back and forth. So,
Yeah, yeah, and you get to pursue your passions, your interests, and I'm always fascinated by the origin story behind how people started doing what they were doing, and it sounds like even though you are a planner and an organizer and your strengths are in that style of behavior, it sounds like you were just following your intuition and following your passion. And through doing so, the ability to take your strengths and apply those to support others naturally emerged. And I feel like those are the best origin stories where people didn't start out going, I want to do XYZ, and then they push or force or whatever when you're in the flow and you're choosing what was naturally presenting itself to you.
yeah, absolutely. I'll share also like I saw other people being successful in those different things, right? Like content creators who were creating whatever kind of content, or people who were doing webinars and they're making millions of dollars. And I tried all those things, right? Like, because we are like, that works for them. I'm a smart person. I can do the thing. And every time it did, it felt like flat. It felt not fulfilling. It felt like rote. I was like, well, what did they do? I'll do that. And what had happened is my personality was out of it. And then every time I would like present it to somebody, I was like, I kind of am doing this thingy and I think you should come a part of it. And it was just like, eh. As opposed to now, I'm like, hey, I get to do partnerships. Like, you want to be a part of it? It's so cool. So it's like I think we all sort of test out some waters that other people are swimming in to see like does that pool work for me? And you have to be confident enough in yourself and confident enough in who you are as your person to say, actually, this doesn't work for me. I had a networking event that I went to recently in person in Boise, which is very big because we just moved here. Like I went in person to somewhere. And while I was there, I told a lady, she was like, oh, we have to connect on Instagram. And I was like, I'm not on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. And she was like, oh, you have to be on Instagram. And another lady that was over there, she's like, how about we not require people to do other things? Like it's 2026. What works for her doesn't work for you. I was just like, thank you. You now become my new best friend. But that's the thing, right? We have to do what works for me. If I tried to go to IG for some of my businesses, I would just be like, I'm posting a picture of something for something. But on LinkedIn, I feel more organic. I feel more like myself. I feel like I can connect with people a little bit better. I can DM and be like, hey, I really like what you're doing. Let's have a chat. And it's not weird. So I think it's like, yes, intuition, I found it, but I also tried those other things to be like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. And I'm okay with saying, no, thank you. I don't want to be on IG for this. It works a lot for other people's businesses, but not for mine.
Well,
And that's
yeah,
okay.
and you listened to yourself, right? You
Yes.
tried the thing, but then you came back to trust and to listening to yourself. And it's interesting that you bring up that topic of Instagram versus LinkedIn versus these different outlets and places to share what we're talking about. And that is something I address with my clients all the time too, is helping them choose the right platform for them and also their enjoyment factor. Like when I'm building websites and someone says, "Well, should I have a blog?" I immediately say, "Well, do you like to write?" Why do you want a blog? I get to the why. Because if they just want a blog because they think they're supposed to have it, I mean, now certain businesses, if it makes a lot of sense for them to have it and they want to pay someone else to do the writing, that's a whole different strategy. But if they're from a heartfelt place being like, I think I need to blog, I'm like, if you don't like writing, blogging's not for you. If that lights you up and it brings you joy and you think you want to, then great. And to your point, LinkedIn is its own environment, and I love LinkedIn, and I have a huge presence there, and I enjoy it, and I have a way more robust community there than I do on Instagram, but I am on both, and it's just different. So I commend you doing what feels aligned for you. So specific to POP, which is powerful online partnerships. Do
Yep.
you
We call it pop.
you call it pop. Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was POP or pop.
Pop is good.
Uh, so explain to the listeners a little bit about more specificity who that person that you help is,
Mhm.
solopreneurs, businesses, and ways that they can engage or dip their toe or find out more to see if there's alignment for you to support them. And maybe even someone who hadn't thought about how partnerships could help their business, maybe an example or a story.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, powerful online partnerships is all around increasing visibility through long term strategic partnerships. Partnership as a word is really broad. And a lot of people who come from different backgrounds are like, partnership is like business partnership, like you're getting into joint ventures together. That's not exactly what we're talking about. So we'll disqualify some of that. It's not about how two businesses are creating like a legal joint venture. It's more about how can businesses support each other through referrals, through recommendations, through, hey, I'm an expert, you need an expert. It's really around that kind of capacity. And online is in our name mostly because that's where our expertise is. Now, it doesn't mean people can't do referrals in a non online space. But when we talk about people who are the best fit, it's usually they have some kind of online offer. It might be a book, it might be a course, it might be a service, it might be just that they do something with other people who are on the online world. So we like people to come into our world who already understand that partnerships, as in connecting with other businesses, is a good idea. That seems pretty vague, but we've met a lot of people who are like, why would you do that? Like, why would you give away your leads? I'm like, that's crazy town. Like, let's live in abundance right now. Like, there are so many people out there. And so as long as they are like, yes, I would love to have some kind of business relationship with some other business that sends me leads, like those are referrals. Some people call them affiliates, some people call them ambassadors, some people call them partners in general. And we kind of get into that a little bit more on our podcast, which is Partnerships on Purpose. We talk a little bit about how, like, okay, what's the difference between an affiliate and all the different words that are out there? So definitely love for people to check that out. And the people, so first you have to have a partnership. You have to understand that that's a part of your business model. Second is some kind of offering. A lot of people are either testing new things out or they've built something very new. So our brand new to entrepreneur people, we want to make sure that they actually have an offer that's converting well. Because when you do that and you can state that, then you can come to these different events that we have and really share with that. So for example, I had a call actually today, a wonderful, lovely lady that I've known for years. She completely closed down her business in January this year. Absolutely love it. Wonderful. But she's rebuilding. She doesn't exactly know who her new ICP is. She doesn't actually know what her offering is. And although I know she has a lot of business knowledge and she loves collaborations, she doesn't have an offer that fits right now. Contrary example is I have another lady who is a wonderful partner of ours. She teaches people how to do webinars, like how to convert them. And I love that because it's a very specific offer. People can resonate with it. They might say, yes, that's great. That's not. And so those people come into our world when they do have an offer and we help them to just decide how that partnership journey is going to look. It's an overlay on top of your own business strategy, right? It's one part of your business. But if you're not thinking about it strategically, it can get lost in the sauce of all the busyness that is your business. And so we like to create a roadmap. We like to put that all together. And then in doing that, kind of guide people on the next best steps to initiate those conversations or to initiate relationships with different people that might help them increase business visibility. Does that make sense?
That makes tons of sense. And I'm going to interject and say one thing. I had wonderful feedback from a listener that sometimes we say marketing terms that the general listener might not know. So, for those who might not know, an ICP is an ideal client profile. So, in the marketing world, we talk about who's my ICP, who's my ideal client profile that I am targeting. So, I just wanted to define that because I got that. I'm putting it out there on the podcast that I want feedback from listeners. It's a
Yes.
new show, and somebody said, you said some term the other day that seemed really logical to you, but I didn't know what it meant. So, for that person, that was for you. Anyway, okay,
Thank you.
so would an example be, and maybe I'm off track here, but I follow certain electronic newsletters, for example, that I subscribe to. And sometimes somebody who I know, like, and trust, and I'm reading their stuff will talk about an offer for somebody else. And they will say, I love this person who does something maybe adjacent or totally not related, but who does XYZ. And I love them. And here's an invite to their free webinar, or here is a discount code to their workshop, or they're dropping a new book and you can use my affiliate link to get early access. Are those the style of services that you support?
Definitely. So that's one type of partnership. In our world, we call that a list swap. So, for example, somebody might have an offering that resonates really well, right? We're talking about it collaborating and complementing, not conflicting.
Mhm.
So, for your example, somebody says, hey, I have an audience that resonates with your offer and it doesn't conflict with my offer. I would love for them to say, hey, this is a good fit. People do that because at the end of the day, if a lead is supported in all the different ways that they're looking to be supported, then they're more likely to continue to interact with your content. A lot of times people will do that as well because it'll say, okay, I have, and we'll just give list size numbers just for numbers, but say you have 10,000 people on your email list and you already have sold 2,000 of those people into your program. You have 8,000 people who aren't buying from you. Could you send them an affiliate offer and say, hey, listen, somebody's doing something over here that you might like and get a kickback for that? Yes. Why wouldn't you use that to be able to support the people that are on your list that already are not buying from you? So it's a really good strategy to be able to get more out of the leads you have. Now, a list swap is only one type of partnership that we talk about. It's a really easy one to define. Absolutely. The other things are podcast swaps. So right now, I'm on your podcast. Sometime you'll be on my podcast. And the nice thing about that is that podcast people, hosts, usually need guests, right? You need people to come here. You need people to come and discuss different topics. And that is a good way not only to create relationships because we already have a great friendship, but then also to expand our visibility, right? I'm getting visibility because I'm here. I'm a part of your network because I'm here. And the same when you come to my podcast, it'll be wonderful. And so that's one type of collaboration. Another type could be just be that you know of each other, right? I'm a really good referral partner for people who do done for you services in the partnership realm because we don't do done for you services inside of Pop and we refer that out. So that is like, I'm not doing a service. My people might need a service. Why wouldn't I have somebody to send them to?
Sure.
First, that helps that lead a ton, right? They don't want to take the time to go vet somebody. They trust me already. Let's use my trust and the know like trust, right? I already trust somebody to do that. And I can say, hey, you should go talk to my friend over here. It's a really good idea. If somebody comes to me and they're looking for branding or anything, I'll be like, hey, Leslie's my friend. Go take a look, like chat with her. There's no expectations on any side. I'm just giving a referral to somebody. And now Leslie has a brand new person who is like, hey, pre vetted. It's kind of pre vetted people. Like, why wouldn't you create more of those? Because they're just coming to your doorstep and they're like, hey, somebody said you were really awesome. Let's have a chat. And as long as you vibe, you now have a client without having to pay any ad spend, which is kind of not totally against ads. I think they have a place. However, if I can get a lead that comes in and I don't have to spend ad spend, that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I do find, because I have a very specific process and the people who I know that I can help the most for brand strategy and web development. And if they are not aligned or just need something different than what I offer, I have a list of people who I will say, well, maybe check out this person. And it makes me feel good that I'm not just saying no to somebody who came to me for a solution. I'm giving them, if I'm not the solution, I'm giving them an alternative. So I never really put that language to it, but those are
That's
partnerships.
collaborations, that's partnerships, that's all the wonderful things. I know, and it's so like, if you think about it, people do this often, right? You know of somebody who does something that's complementary to you, why wouldn't you support the person who's in your world? And what that'll do, more than likely, is that person that you just referred to somebody else, you now become that primary person for them to say, "Hey, I actually have a friend of mine who need this." So now you're getting this ripple effect. And this is what I talk about. A one conversation, one introduction creates a ripple effect out there into the world to say, wow, well, I don't know, but Leslie knows a lot of people. Why don't you go talk to Leslie? She's going to know. And then that person that comes in, you resonate with them a little bit. Maybe they become a client. Maybe they become a referral. Maybe they become something. But without having the conversation and the ability to just be open minded about how businesses can collaborate, not close by like there's so much out there, right? Like there's so many people, there's so many businesses out there that need support. If we just look at it as being collaborative, then we're going to find more and more people that are coming to our doorstep saying, I need you. I need your work.
Yeah. And is there a specific business niche that you work with, or is it entrepreneurs, solopreneurs? If someone's listening and they're like, is this for me? Who should look into Pop?
Yeah. So for pop, we work primarily with what we consider experts. So those would be consultants, coaches, speakers, authors. People have some kind of message out there in the world. It goes pretty wide. Sometimes we have intuitive people that come in. Sometimes we have financial people that come in. Like the gamut is kind of far and wide. But if you consider yourself an expert or a consultant in the online space, it'd be great to have a conversation and just see if it's a good fit. Again, we do online things. Not that that's a discounting. We have people that are in our network that do people that do like in person stuff, or for your example, like you've been working with people specifically in a local environment. So it might be like, hey, I know somebody in the Denver area, right? Like, could I introduce them to you? But we love anybody who's just sharing knowledge out there and they want to get that message out there through referrals.
And is the best first step to set up a call with you, or is it to come to one of your open network events online? What would be the
Good
call to
question.
action for them?
Yeah, so we have a collaboration room that we host regularly. And in that collaboration room, it is a vetted room. So it's always, we open people to register for it, to apply for it. It's intentionally it is vetted. And I'm say that because we don't want just anybody coming into the room. We want that room to feel like the right people are in the space for you to have collaborations, which means we just look at their profile and we say, okay, do you have an offer that makes sense? Are you open to having collaborative conversations? conversations? Are you looking for strategic partnerships from others? And if all those answers are yes, then we invite them into the room. And in that space, we do breakout rooms. It is intentionally a very small room. The last one we just hosted had 8 people. The feedback I got from each one of them was like they loved it. They loved that it was a small room and they could go in, have good conversations, and come back out to the main room. And we want it to stay that way. So if for some reason we get a room that gets too big too fast, then we'll just put another collaboration room together and we'll just keep inviting people. So that would be a great first step for people to join.
Pleasure of being in one of the collaboration room events, and I will absolutely be back. And I couldn't agree more. You explained it perfectly. It was a safe space and it was open minded conversation and meaningful connection. And I've said this before on an episode, but it's the best thing ever. I have a friend who runs a professional networking group, and she has this phrase, "Don't be a salesy weirdo." Shout out to Melissa Snow. I feel like I have to name her because I've said that so many times, but I love it because we all know what that means, and that's what we want to avoid in the online marketing space. Someone who's like in your face and just talking about them and pitching you something before they even ask what you need. So I found it to be an intelligent, inquisitive, supportive, and really amazing environment. So I
Oh,
appreciate being there and I will
thank you.
be back. I will be back. And then as Marie Mack, mariemack.com, your consulting business, you have a little bit different target market or ICP now that we've shared that phrase with people who might not have known for that work. And that is a little bit larger companies or at least people who have a staff, correct?
Correct. So the best place for that is it is the larger companies. It's definitely in the 7 and 8 figure business space. Usually they have a staff between 30 and 50. And the new client I just brought on, they have multiple different departments. They're bringing in a lot of different members at one time. The staff is about 40 people. My brilliance in that is to bring the executive team kind of all together in one spot so that we can make sure that our lower level team members are not blocked. And doing that through operations systems check ins that are very intentional without being time consuming, because that can happen. I love to see how all the pieces work. I always think of myself as a conductor of an orchestra, if that makes sense, right? Our business owners, they write the music, right? They tell us exactly where they want us to go. And then we have the different areas of the orchestra. And if you play them individually, they sound good. But when you put them all together, it just makes magic happen and everybody kind of gets the beautiful feels. If you have a conductor that is really good, they can bring in the right pieces at the right time, and the music sounds beautiful. If not, it sounds a little off, and you have to say, wait a second, everybody stop. We're going to go over here. We're going to look at this little section. We're going to fix that thing, and then we're going to bring it back and we're going to do the piece again. So that's where I sit. I sit in the conductor space. I absolutely love it because I can see multiple different things. I'll say for myself, I need a bit of a challenge, right? To have a new business that's just starting, like, okay, I love those things. I did it for multiple years where I help brand new businesses get started. But when you have a business that's really expanded and it's got a lot of different departments, a lot of things happening, it allows me to see things at a different higher level. And I'm going to continue to challenge myself, right? I'm always going to get better. And I have to put myself in those challenging spaces. So sitting in the conductor spot is my very favorite place for right now.
Love that analogy. That painted such a beautiful picture in my mind. That was a really creative way to express it that really made it make sense. And I agree with the working with established businesses that are potentially have hit a hiccup or a plateau. I really can relate to that because even with branding and web development, often people will say to me, "Who's your ideal client?" And they're like, "Someone who needs a website." And I say, "Well, a lot of times when people need to revisit those materials and how those tools are supporting their business growth, they don't know that they do need that. They don't know that's the answer." So often, established businesses that are maybe feeling like they're hitting a plateau, or maybe they want more clients or more of the right type of client, I always do a strategy session first and I ask these deep questions to help them come to the realization that new messaging and new website or even a rebrand or some of those ways they're communicating to their clientele is where the stall is. And they have to be in business a while to understand that. So a brand new business, often when I say, who's your ideal client or who's your favorite client or who's your most profitable client, not always the same thing, and ask
Uh-huh.
these questions, they're just like, I don't know. So I also can totally relate to working with people who have already been in business enough to know how they want to iterate in the next phase, and those are super rewarding.
Yeah. And I think the fun thing, and same probably for you, like we as people, I think we always want to be better. And when we work with those different types of I'm sure a different branding or anything like that, like we get better as ourselves. So it's almost a gift to be able to work with people who have different types of ICPs or have different challenges that might not have come up or have different offers that you have to actually present in a different way based on the ICP. Like all those things are beautiful to come into, and it just makes the music a little bit different, and it's all perfect. So I love that.
I do too. Oh, thank you so much, Marie. I love your brain, your ideas, your warmth, how you show up and share. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's been such a pleasure. You're such a wonderful host. So thank you, Leslie. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you so much. This has been a Category of One podcast. If this resonated with you, please share, subscribe, or leave a review. I appreciate you.